What is going on? This is a disaster. It's a disaster. Michelle here, also known as Fancy Dinosaur Tea Party, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna finally finish this sweater that I have been working on since November. So if you've watched my channel for a while, or if you're new and you might have stumbled upon this one video, but last November, I made a tutorial on how to make these rose granny squares because I had an idea. I had a vision. And the vision was to make ton of these, put them together and make a sweater. And my plan has changed so many times. It's changed so many times. My idea first was to make a bunch of these, just a bunch of these, and then my other plan was to make these, but then make like a granny square type of square and then do like a checkerboard pattern. And then I didn't want to do that anymore, so then I made a bunch of these squares because then my idea was I was gonna do this, a checkerboard with like just a nice plain square. That went out the window because I didn't feel like doing that anymore. And then I decided, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna make some of these, have them on the front, and then do the sleeves and the back plain. It's taking me a while to do, mainly because I keep losing interest in it because I keep finding other projects that I want to do more. I've already kind of finished it. I haven't finished it. I finished the pieces. I'm going to show you how I did the pieces. These are a little bit more complex, but I have a whole video just dedicated to these, so I'm not going to be crocheting these, teaching you how to crochet these in this video. This is a different video that is just strictly going over this step by step, so that way it's like a lot easier. Otherwise, this video is going to be 40 minutes long. If you are interested in making this, definitely go check out that video. I'll probably link it up here in the cards, but also in the description below. What I did is I have an arm, I have another arm, and then I have the back piece, which goes like this. I'm really hoping this fits. I tried to do measurements, but I don't know. So this is another one of those projects where I'm making it up as I go along, and hopefully it works out in the end. Like, first off, I am going to be showing you how I made this. Don't worry, it's just single crochets in a giant rectangle, but I will show you how I did it. And then these sleeves, I know they look a little short, like, ugh. I know they look a little short. Usually when I make these types of cardigans, well, this is going to be a sweater, but usually when I make my cardigans, the front piece and the back piece, they actually go down like to here instead of like a normal shoulder. This isn't bad. And then I'm going to do a red cuff, the same red as this guy up here. I'm going to do like a big red cuff on here just with ribbing. Again, I will show you how that's done. I'm also going to be doing ribbing on the bottom, and I'm going to do like, I think a little bit of ribbing on the top to make a collar. I've made cardigans, but this is my first time making a sweater. Crocheting a sweater. I have sewn a sweater, but crocheting a sweater, this is my first time. I don't really know how it's going to turn out. Hopefully good, because I spent a lot of hours on this. Stick around to the end if you want to know my final thoughts on it, because if you're interested in doing it, maybe you'll be like, hey, she didn't like how she did this. I'm going to change it. Let's just get right into this so I can finally finish this and work on something else. All right, and here are the measurements for everything that you're going to need for this project. This is the arm measurements. You're going to need to make 2 arms. This is the back piece. You're just going to need to make one of those. And these are the rose squares, and you're going to need to make 30 of them. To start this project, you're going to need your yarn of choice, 5mm crochet hook, US H8, and a pair of scissors. Now, like I said before, I'm only going to be teaching you how to make the arms and the back piece, which are just single crochets along with the ribbing. I'm not going to be showing you how I made the rose square because I have a separate video and that will be linked. All right, so first up, I am going to do a slip knot. So I'm going to take the tail end, which is this end, and then the working yarn is connected to the ball of yarn. Pinch the end of it, scoop underneath with my left hand, and then with my right hand, I'm going to grab the working yarn. So it looks kind of like this, like a square. Then I'm going to take this and twist it. All right, so we're just twisting that. Then I'm going to stick my fingers through, grab the working yarn, still holding on to the tail, and just pull tightly, insert your hook, and then pull. Now I know there's a really long tail, but to be honest, I do like having a longer tail because when it comes time to weave all these in, if it's longer, it's a lot easier to hide them. You already seen that I have done the arms and the back pieces already, so I'm not actually going to chain out the amount that I need. I did write it down though. So for the arms, you're gonna have to chain 50, and for the back piece, you're gonna have to chain 80. Again, it would be 51 and 81 because you need to add the extra chain for your turning chain. I'm just just going to chain, let's just do 20. I'm gonna chain 20 just for the purposes of showing you how I do my single crochets. But again, 51 chains for the arms and 81 chains for the back. To chain, you're gonna yarn over and you're gonna pull through one loop. So that's one chain. You're gonna yarn over and then pull through this loop. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over. See how the hook is catching that piece of yarn, and then you're just gonna slide it through the loop that is on your hook. All right, I feel like that's a good amount. Now, when you get to the end, you're gonna yarn over and you're gonna chain an extra one. So however long you want it to be, add the one. Now, I'm gonna start doing my single crochets. So to do the single crochet, you see that extra chain? We're gonna skip that because that is your turning chain. So because that is the turning chain, I'm going to skip it and then insert into the top loop. So there's a loop here and there's like a loop here. It's just going into the top loop here, yarning over, pulling through, yarning over, pulling through 2. I'm gonna go into the next loop, insert my hook, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. That's it. So I'm gonna continue doing this until I get to the end, and then I'll show you what to do on your way back. Okay, and now that I'm at the end, I'm going to chain 1, so the turning chain, then you turn it over. So you're gonna skip the one you just chained, go into the next, and when you go into them, you're actually gonna go through both the loops you have at the top. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. You see how there's a bottom loop and a top loop? You're gonna go through both of them. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. The exact same steps as the first row, except now we have our first row of stitches done. So we're gonna go through both of them at the top, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. When you're at the end, you're going to chain your extra one, turn it back around, skip the one you chained, insert into the first crochet, and just continue doing your single crochets. All right, and when you get to the end, you're gonna do your last crochet. Now you don't need to do a turning chain because it's done. And then you're just gonna do a slip stitch. So you're gonna yarn over, pull through, pull tightly, and that is what your single crochet looks like. I did it. I made all the roses. It might have taken me 4 months to do. They're done. I know there's 2 missing over here, but that's because my box tipped over, and I know they're somewhere. They're all accounted for. I just don't know where those 2 are. This is gonna be the back part, and then this is gonna be the top. I can't believe I actually finished all these. Time to connect all of the front rose squares together. Now I've already kind of taken the liberty of starting already because I need this project to get done. I'm gonna actually use the same color yarn that I did for the border. What I did is I actually went down like this. So I was connecting them this way because there's gaps. Once I have them all laid out this way, then I'm gonna go back and connect them all this way here. So I'm gonna first show you how I attach them together. Put the good side, you know, the puffy side. And I'm gonna put those together. All right, here's the thing. When I attached them all, I realized I didn't really like how they looked, and I kind of liked how they look attached in the front rather than the back, what I'm going to show you. Just letting y'all know, I did change it, and if you continue watching this video, you'll see what like the changes that I made, but the process that I'm doing here is the exact same, except for instead of me slip stitching them on the back, I slip stitch them on the front. And I'm going to create a slip knot, insert my crochet hook, and personally I like starting at the bottom and working my way up. That is going from my right to my left. Put these together, line them up, and in the corner I'm going to stick my crochet hook here and over here, and then I'm going to yarn over, pull through all 3. I'm just doing slip stitches, and how I'm doing them is I'm doing it from the bottom stitch here and then from the top stitch on here. And what I mean that is that if you look, a stitch here and a stitch here. So this is the bottom stitch and then this is the top stitch. I'm going through the bottom stitch on this piece and then I'm going through the top stitch over here, and then I'm yarning over and I'm pulling through everything. 4 stitches kind of, so there's like 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna go through this one, skip one, skip another one, and then go through here. Bottom one facing you, and it's the top stitch facing away from you. Bottom stitch, top stitch, yarn over, pull through, bottom stitch, top stitch, yarn over, pull through. So it's the bottom stitch here, and I go parallel, top stitch there. And then that's what it's gonna look like on here. Now, there's a bunch of different ways people attach them. Sometimes they do single crochets. It all depends on how you want it to look. And so I go all the way until I get to the corner here. And then this is where I add the next square. Again, I'm going to face it good side facing good side. So putting that down, lining these up, going into the corners, yarning over and pulling through. And that's how it's looking like. I'm just gonna continue doing this, adding the remaining squares that I have to do. Like once they're all attached this way, I'm gonna go back and I'm going to attach them this way, doing the exact same thing where I'm going through the bottom loop and then the top loop and then going all the way down so this piece is completely attached together. And then when I'm done attaching this, it's time to attach the back and the arms. Okay, so I attached these all together. Sorry, it's dark out and it's nighttime, but I want to get this done. I attached these together and I'm just not the biggest fan of how this looks. These aren't really lining up the way that I want them to line up and it just looks unfinished. So I think I'm gonna do what I did on this side and just do like a pink border. So they're a little bit more defined, but I don't want to do it. I was thinking about doing it in a red, but I think the red would be too much. So I think just nice pink border around each one would just make, I think the flowers pop more and your eye won't be so drawn to these lines. As you can see, I added the border on the front. I think it looks a lot better than what it looked like before. For some reason, it was giving me open heart surgery vibes. I don't know. So I decided I do want the border and I did it the exact same way that I connected it on the back. You know, I just redid it so it's really connected. It's not going to come apart. But if you're going to do this and you like this style, then just connect them on the front. You don't need to connect them on the back if you want this look. Again, I didn't know what I wanted on the front, so I connected them on the back. Seeing how it looks now, I definitely didn't need to do that. I could have just done it on the front. I have connected an arm. I needed to see how it looks before I actually, showed you guys. But this is what the connected arm looks like. And I did do a cuff, so we'll get to that. And now we gotta do this part because it is just missing. I like to lay it flat like this because this is like the inside layer and inside layer. And then I'm gonna grab my arm. Doesn't really matter what side's which. I just wanna make sure that the rows are going like this way. I don't want my rows to go like this. Now I know that this here is the middle of my sweater. This is the front, this is the back panel. This is going to be my shoulder piece, so I know this is going to be the middle. All I have to do, I also have to find that. It all depends on how big you had your piece made. I'm just going to measure this out. It's about 16 at the 8 mark, which I know if 8 is here. So that's like 16-ish lined up with this seam here. And then I like to take a large safety pin, pin these pieces together like that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my crochet hook and then the same color as these guys, so this pink here, and I'm just going to slip stitch all of this together. And then when this is connected, I'm going to flip this part over and then connect the sides. So to slip stitch, I am gonna start off with my slip knot, put my hook through there. And then once again, I'm just kinda, here I need to flip it. Oh goodness, what is going on? This is a disaster. It's a disaster. With it lined up like this, I'm going to put my crochet hook into the corner here and then just kind of flatten that out with your hand. And I'm gonna put the other part here, then I'm gonna yarn over and I'm gonna pull through everything. So I'm just doing a bunch of slip stitches. So I'm going through 2 here and then these 2 here, yarning over, pulling through, going through 2, going through 2. Just trying to like line them up as best as possible. And sometimes if they don't line up properly, like you see how this one could kind of line up with that one, but then we have this one that lines up, what I'll do is I'll put my hook through here and then I'll just go back one and go through the one that I've already just gone through. And the reason why I do that is because there's less stitches for here and there's more stitches on this side. It's just not gonna line up perfectly, but just do your best. As long as you like how it looks, that's what's important. Just gonna finish off this little corner here. Now that I'm on the second half, which is the back piece, as you can see, the sides, they're not really like perfect. They're not as nice looking as this here where you can see where each stitch is, because this is like the side of it. They're a little bit wonky, I'm not gonna lie, it's fine. It's what it looks like. What I try to do, I'll insert my hook here and then I'll just like go across from it. Yarn over, pull through. I'm just going through the nice two ones over here, and then over here, I'm just looking for any spot that I can put my hook through and then yarning over and pulling through. It's not perfectly clear. I do my best. As long as you're attaching the two sides together, then it's good to go. I really hope that makes sense. You're just putting your hook through here and then finding a space to put it on this side, and then yarn over and pull through. And now that I'm at the end, insert my hook here, over here, yarn over, pull through, grab my scissors, cut, yarn over, pull through, tighten. That's how the sleeve is looking on the back, and that's what it looks like on the good side. Now that I've attached the arm, I can now stitch up the two pieces of arm together, and then I can attach the front to the back. The same way that I told you how to attach the arm to the body of the sweater, I am now going to do the exact same thing where I'm attaching the two pieces of arms together, and then the front and the back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch all this up, and then I'm going to stitch all this up, and then it's time to add the cuffs. And I've already started the bottom, but I have to finish the bottom. I just got ahead of myself and I'm like, you know what? I might as well just do it so I can be more productive. Once again, I am gonna do the slip knot, pull that through, put my hook in, pull tightly. I'm gonna do the bottom part of the front and the bottom part of the back together. I'm gonna insert my crochet hook down here and then also over here. I'm gonna yarn over and then pull through. Because as you can see over here has the really nice stitches, and then this, because it's the side, are like, you know, a little bit harder to find. Doing my best, just putting my crochet hook through a spot over here, anywhere that I can go through at least 2 loops of yarn, you know, and then just going straight across. Just like that. Continue doing this, and again, it's the exact same thing that I did to my arm until I get to the end here. To make sure that you are on track and you haven't moved it over too much is to make sure that the seam of the arm here and the seam of the arm here are connected. So this is like the armpit area, to make sure that those are lined up. And now I'm attaching the arm pieces together. Yeah, you can't really see like where to put them in. So it's just, I'm kind of guesstimating. I'm just making sure that wherever I'm putting my hook in, it's parallel to the other side. It's like straight across, just like this. And then I'm gonna continue going all the way down the sleeve, just making sure I go through like 2 loops on this side, 2 loops on that side. As you can see, like this side is a little bit longer than that. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of stretching the shorter part out. That way it reaches. And I'm just making sure I get into the very, very corners of this. I'm gonna yarn over, take my scissors, cut it, yarn over, pull through, tighten. Right, and then this is what it looks like all sewn together. I do need to go through and like tie up all these loose ends and weave them in, but I think now I can start working on the cuffs. And now I'm going to show you how I make my cuffs. For the ribbing or cuffs, I am going to be using this red. It is so vibrant. My goodness, is that red. And I'm going to start off with a slip knot. When doing this, I always do it the good side facing up, and I kind of want to show you why. So when you're doing it the good side facing up, you're going to be left with like these little guys here. You know, it looks kind of cute like this, but if you do it the other way, you're going to have these stitches. These just kind of look out of place, so I prefer this to be on the inside, and then these kind of like little guys here to be on the outside. That's how I like it looking. I'm going to start off on the seam here. So I'm going to go through this here, that first initial chain to make the arm. So this is where I started. So I'm just gonna be putting it through 1 loop, but say you were doing it the other way where you were putting it through where you finished, then I would go through 2 loops, if that makes sense. Or I really just wanna clarify what I mean, because that might've sounded a little confusing, and it kind of sounded a bit confusing to me while I'm editing. If you look at this piece here, this is like the little sample square that I had made for y'all. You see this? This is like where we started making it, and you see how it's just a single chain. It's not doubled, but if you look where I ended, do you see how there's like, you know, the two little loops there? If I'm doing the ribbing and I'm doing the ribbing on this end, then I would put my crochet hook, I don't know where my crochet hook is currently, but then I would put my crochet hook through both of these loops if this is the end that you're doing your ribbing on. I do want to mention when I'm doing the collar part, I actually end up doing it on this end instead of this end, so bear with me please. First, I'm going to make myself a slip stitch. There we go. And I'm going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then of course, because I need a turning chain, I'm going to chain that 7th one. Now I'm going to go back down. And to do that, I'm going to go only through this side and not this side. So I'm going to skip that 7th chain that I just made. So skipping this one here, inserting my hook only through one loop, yarning over, pulling through, yarning over, pulling through 2. Again, this is going to be single crochets. And I'm going to go into each stitch. So that way I have a total of 6. Inserting it, yarning over, pulling through, yarning over, pulling through 2. And sometimes I do like to stop and I want to make sure I count. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now to make this cuff get all cinched in like that, I am going to be doing 4 slip stitches into the next 4 loops. So I'm going to insert my hook into the next loop, yarn over, pull through, into the next loop, yarn over, pull through, into the next one, yarn over, pull through, and again one more time, yarn over, pull through. Okay, so that's 4. Now when working my way back up, I'm only going into the top stitches. You have your top stitches here, and then you have your bottom stitches here. So bottom, and then these ones are the top. Like honestly, every time I'm pointing out things with my crochet hook, I don't know why, but I feel like a dentist. And I'm just making sure that the working yarn is just kind of like this. I don't really want it like that. I want it like this. You can count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Going through the top loop. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And then I'm just going to work my way back up. Once I got 6, I'm going to chain that extra one. And then I'm gonna work my way back down. I'm only working in the top stitches. And what I mean by top stitches, I mean the loop that is facing away from me. So right now this is facing away from me and then this is facing towards me. So I'm gonna skip that chain I made here, insert my hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. I'm gonna slip stitch 4. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3, that's 4, and then I'm gonna work my way back up. So skipping all of these that I had just slip stitched, going into the bottom there, yarning over, pulling through 1, yarning over, pulling through 2. Only going in the stitches that are facing away from me, and then when I'm at the top, I'm gonna chain that extra one and then work my way back down. And that's essentially it. I'm just gonna continue this process up and down until I get to where I started again, and then I'm gonna show you how I finish it. You can kind of see the ribbing, right? That's the effect that it is giving, and that's why you have to only go through one stitch. And I've made my way all the way back to where I started. And what I like to personally do is I like to finish at the top here, so then that way when I connect them, I can connect it going downwards and then have the tail at the bottom where I can tie it with the tail that I started with. What I have to do first is I actually have to turn this sleeve inside out, which is a little annoying. All right, I'm gonna stick a hair clip through there, just so that way it doesn't go anywhere. All right, and now that it is inside out, I'm gonna take the clip away. And I'm gonna pull on this yarn because the yarn is now like through the sleeve. So I'm gonna put my hook through the top here and then over here where I left off. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2. So I am just going to do a bunch of slip stitches all the way back down. Lining them up, putting my hook through. Gonna cut my working yarn, then I'm gonna yarn over, pull through, pull tightly, and like I said, I'm going to double knot that. Or behind the ends, I'm just gonna put it through my yarn needle, weave it through the back here where no one's really gonna see it. Just weave it, like that, then just pull through, Cut that. On to one of the last parts, and that's to make the collar. Now, I've never actually made a collar before, so this should be interesting. I'm gonna do the same technique of the ribbing. Slip knot, insert my hook here, make a slip knot. I think I'm gonna do the collar 5, because this is 6. Maybe I'll do 4. Maybe I'll make it a mock neck, so I'll do 4. So I'm gonna chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, add the 5th for the turning chain, work my way back down. This is the exact same steps as the cuff and the bottom. Slip stitch 3. Okay, chain that extra one, work my way back down by skipping one. And then 3 slip stitches. I'm actually going to try this on right now, leaving it just like this, because I don't want to go all the way around and then realize this is too big of a collar or too small of a collar. So I'm going to quickly try that on and then get back to finishing this up. Okay, just a little sweater update. I had finished it and I had put the border on, and I think it was like 7 chains for the ribbing, but it's really giving me this boxy look and I'm not in love with it. And I did wear it today just to, you know, test it out, and I wasn't in love with it. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take all of this off, which it won't take me too long to do, and then I'm actually gonna make it a little bit longer but cinch it in more. So if you kind of see the sleeve here, I really cinched it in on the sleeve, so you kind of get that nice little curve here, whereas this, sorry, I'm filming this late at night again, it's very flat, and I don't want that. I want it to be more billowy. I want this to be more puffed up so I don't look like a box. I don't know, I'd rather look like an orb than a box. It's just preference. Take all of this off and I'm gonna redo it, and I think I'm gonna do it the same way I did the sleeve, where I would do 4 slip stitches in a row. I think I'm gonna do 4 slip stitches in a row, and then I'm also think I'm gonna do 10 chains down. So exact same process, except instead of 7, it's 10, and instead of doing, I think, 3 slip stitches in between each one, I'm gonna do 4. And now the last step is to hide all these tails. I wanna pull all the tails in the back. That way they're not seen. If there's one I can tie it to, I'm gonna tie it to it. Double knot it, and then I'm gonna take my trusty yarn needle, and then I'm just going to weave it along the bottom where no one's really gonna see it, just like that. Pull it through. Okay, so that's what it looks like on this side. That's what it looks like on this side. So I'm just going to go around, and any little loose pieces, I'm going to tie them up and hide them, and then I guess it's time for the reveal. And the sweater's done. Here you go. There it is. It's done now. I don't know why, but I feel like with this project I had lots of ups and downs, mostly downs, because I didn't really know what I was doing half the time. I am so used to making cardigans that when I make cardigans, it's like, oh, I'll just follow the same format that I did for the other cardigans. But this is a sweater. It is different. It had to be constructed a little bit differently. It had to be made a little bit differently. And that's what kind of threw me off, because I'm like, I don't know how big to make it, and I don't want to make it too big, and I don't want to make it too small. So this is what I ended up with. Personally, I think that I made it a little bit too long. I know you might be thinking, it's not too long. I think that if I would have cropped it, like taking one of these rows out, it would look more cropped and less like a box. I think I'm just in my head at this point. I do like it. I like the color scheme. Looking at this, I can't believe I actually made it. You know, I don't know if anyone else has had this where you're starting to work on a project and then as time goes on, you're not really feeling it anymore, and you're just like, I just want to get it done so it is done and I don't have to work on it anymore. That's this, because there's other things I want to work on, such as this. I'm already working on my next sweater, and I just love these colors so much. It's gonna be just checkerboard orange and this pink color, and I'm gonna take what I learned from this and apply it to this. But I am so excited to start working on this. That is a future video. I will be doing a video on that, so definitely stay tuned. Hopefully in the month it will be done, because then it's the next thing you know, it's going to be summer and it's going to be too hot to wear all these sweaters that I've been making. But just letting y'all know, in the description below, all the measurements for all these pieces and the link to make the rose granny square itself is all in the description for ya, okay? Okay, so the first thing is, how long did it take me to make? I can't say, because I started it in November and then I took month-long gaps in between me doing it. Individual rose granny square, I think it takes me about less than 20 minutes to make one. I feel like 20 minutes is a long time, but you have to make the rose itself, and then you have to make the leaves on it, and then you actually have to like do the border on it. So roughly like 20 minutes. This whole back piece, a few days, I have to say. I mean, it wasn't bad. All it is single crochets, so it's not difficult. The only difficult part is this part, and then everything else is just kind of easy. A week to do, because again, I don't just sit there and crochet 24/7. Maybe crochet an hour or two, maybe 3, depending on what I'm watching and how much I like the project. Maybe 3 hours a day crocheting. Take that into account. The sleeves, maybe 1 to 3 days to do the sleeves. Again, I don't do a whole sleeve at once. I take my time doing it. Cuffs, the neck and the bottom part, all could have been done in a day. Like, these are very simple to do. Overall, I think that you probably could make this sweater within a month if, you know, you spread out your time evenly. I think it's doable in a month. I mean, if you're a fast crocheter, then definitely sooner. But if you're like me and procrastinate. How much yarn did I use? 1 ball of red, 1 ball of green. Now, when it comes to the pink, maybe 4, maybe 5 balls of yarn. The reason why I don't know is, again, because I've done this project about 4.5 months. I've been working on this, so when I would buy the pink color to do the border of the roses, that was like back in November. So then I would also use that pink for other projects I was working on, and then I would buy more yarn, but then also use that yarn for other projects. If the yarn is here, I'm going to use it for other things. I'm not going to go out and buy the exact same color I already have. I'll just go out again later on if I need more yarn. How is the fit of it? I think there's a few things I want to change. I'm honestly thinking about redoing the cuffs. I know I make tutorials and then I'm like, I hate it. I'm sorry, I'm redoing the whole thing. But the cuffs, I think I want to make them a little bit longer. It's so hard to figure it out because I know that the sleeve is not going to start up like at my shoulder here. It's starting down here. So that's when math comes in and I suck at math. Because it's weird. It's like when I'm making it, it looks right. But then once I try it on and it kind of stretches out this way, I feel like it shrinks this way. And I think that's the same thing that happened on the bottom as well. They're cute. I like them. I like the fullness of the sleeves, you know, but I kind of want these to be a little bit longer. I think that pretty much sums up how I feel about this sweater. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What do you like? What do you think needs to get changed? You know, I've never done a sweater before. I've done cardigans, but it's just cardigans are such a different fit than a sweater is. But overall, I think I give this like a 9 out of 10. I think that will do it for this video. So if you're new to my channel, like sewing, crafting, but mainly thrifting, why not subscribe? You can also follow me on my Instagram, which is the same, Fancy Dinosaur Tea Party. I think that is it, so y'all have a good day now.